Hi, welcome to
the countdown to the release of Pokémon Scarlet and Violet!
8 days remaining. Remember Generation 1, when there was only 151 Pokémon, back when the show based on it could fit all the Pokémon into a Poké-Rap without it taking 24 minutes to finish? Remember when Mewtwo was the most powerful Pokémon of all time? When the most epic thing in the world was a movie about Mewtwo striking back? Okay, wait a minute, what? Okay, we'll have the title and everything, but what the actual fuck does this title even mean? What previous battles have been waged against the forces of Mewtwo that caused a retaliation of cinematic proportions? In Star Wars, that made sense, like in the first movie the Rebels score a big win against the Galactic Empire, and in the sequel, the Empire Strikes Back, they retaliate in full force. Oh well, Mewtwo Strikes Back is a great movie, and so are my memories of beating a Pokémon game for the first time. So, just one bit of backstory that will make sense sometime in the future when I talk about it in more detail. The first Pokémon game I ever played was Yellow version, but the first Pokémon game I ever beat was Sapphire version. Just bear with me, I will explain this sometime in the future. So, my first time beating a Pokémon game was Sapphire version. I was roughly in 4th grade, and my first time playing a Pokémon game all the way through was rough. I know exactly where I got stuck for the first time. The second battle against May. You'd think that dealing with a battle like that would make me learn the mechanics of Pokémon like the back of my hand, but nah, I just got by. I think the reason why so many people love rewatching the first season of the Pokémon anime so much is that, for everyone who's played a Pokémon game as a kid, Ash Ketchum is dead accurate. Just like Ash, I would always scrape by. I would get badge after badge, but I always felt like my major opponents in Hoenn were one step ahead of me. My copy of Sapphire went with me to many different places during this first playthrough. On road trips, to a friend's house, up into the mountains on a bus ride to summer camp. Well, I remember getting to the Elite Four and beating Wally. Even Wally, who had seemed like an underdog, was on my level now. So many places in this game I had felt like I was up against a brick wall, but I'd made it to this building where I would somehow win 4 battles in a row. Well, just like Ash, I was stubborn to the core. I remember battling the Elite Four many times to figure out just what their Pokémon were weak to. I remember how I would barely scrape by against Sydney, and then go into battle with Phoebe and lose. Then I would figure out a strategy to get past Sydney with little expense, and have the resources to win against Phoebe. Glacia was tough, but soon I figured out her team too. It was around this time I traveled with my family to Boston from the West Coast for over a week, and it was here during a car trip back to the hotel where I first reached the 4th of the Elite Four, Drake. This was towards the end of the trip, and when I got home, I got a useful tip. Remember how I mentioned taking this game to a friend's house? Well, this friend was someone I would talk to on the phone occasionally when we couldn't do anything in person. He lived a little ways away, and he told me dragon Pokémon were really weak to ice. Well, that was it. I could blow through Drake with no problem. That is, the next time I played. I beat Drake, but then the words hit me like a truck. That's right. This was my first Pokémon game I owned. I had no idea I'd have to beat another trainer after the Elite Four. This was a plot twist to me as much as it was when it was an actual plot twist for red, blue, and yellow players. Well, I made it pretty far into Steven's team. I put up a good fight, but it wasn't quite enough. I felt like I was in over my head. Almost his entire team consisted of Pokémon I had never seen once in the entire game so far. The next time I battled the champion, I was on the phone with my friend, and he coached me from the sidelines. As if the parallels between me and Ash Ketchum aren't strong enough, I literally had another trainer on the sidelines of my Pokémon League Challenge coaching me during my final battle. With each Pokémon that was sent out from Steven, we talked through his team. Their strengths, their weaknesses, everything. And of course, my ragtag team of Pokémon I had raised were able to pull through and win this time. Entering the Hall of Fame was such a satisfying moment. I remember the day I got my Sapphire version cartridge for my birthday nearly a year ago from when I entered the Hall of Fame, and how earning my second gym badge felt like climbing a mountain. And now here I was, at the literal top of the Pokemon League, being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Yes, I've entered the Hall of Fame in Pokemon games many times since, but this time will always remain the most special to me. But what about something else that happened in my first Sapphire playthrough that I'll never forget? That's what I'll talk about tomorrow. The first shiny Pokemon I ever encountered. Who was it? Did I catch it? Come back tomorrow to find out. Good night.